that still applies. And also both Blake and me were and are still great happiness enthusiasts. So we, of course, that still applies. And also both Blake and me were and are still great happiness enthusiasts. So we, of course, now I have a back. That still applies. And also both Blake and me I'm gonna continue. Sorry about that technical issue here. Because I was hearing myself. So I think what's going to be very interesting for you to know is a little bit of context around where we were at that time and where we are today, because there's lots of parallels. So personally, I was at that time still working as head of people and happiness culture for HelloFresh Go, a subsidiary of HelloFresh, experiencing the whole Corona situation from that perspective, but still very much focused on happiness. Later on, in the meantime, I actually founded my own startup, still around happiness, Jomigo, where we actually help companies who have a high employee satisfaction to find the best talents. And how do we do that? We do that actually by the means of one of the most important happiness drivers, which is relationships. So on Jomigo, everyone can register and recommend friends and their networks for the jobs of the companies that we promote there. So I got the feeling that culture not only starts in the company, but actually already starts with the part of recruiting. Interestingly for Blake, also some things changed. Right now he's focusing mostly on his original role at Zoom, which is recruiting as well. But until recently, he was the Happy Crew president at Zoom, also at the time when this video was recorded last year. So he was really organizing and responsible for a whole big team across Zoom who was taking care of happiness initiatives around events, other initiatives focused on diversity, on creativity, on community, on rewards. And he's going to tell you a lot more about that in the video. And I think it's a great example that shows how actually happiness can be organized by a large group of people within the company who have their own regular jobs, but on the side really shape the culture in such a way. And I think personally that if you look back, the few last months and actually the past year was very exciting for Zoom in different ways. From a business perspective, there was a large growth. But I think we shouldn't forget that always also means a change and transformation for the people and for the individuals. And I believe that Zoom didn't only play such a big role in bringing us together during the crisis and still does, but I feel that their growth and that they're actually doing as good as they're doing today is not only due to their business success, or that their business success is actually only possible because beforehand they built this strong foundation of a happiness culture. So with that context in mind, I think you'll very much enjoy the video, the recording, and the interview with Blake, where he tells you more about this culture. So with that context in mind, I think you'll very much. So, hello everyone, very welcome from around the world to this session today. My name is Toby, I'm a happiness coach and happiness consultant based here in beautiful Berlin, just in the WeWork here, close to Kudamm. And I'm very excited for today's session. It's going to be very, very practical about what we can do to set up a happiness department, happiness initiatives, and a full happiness program in a company, which I'm very excited about for my own work. I also just recently started as head of people and happiness culture for HelloFresh Go. So there's different applications of this topic, and I think all of you are also very excited to apply this in your own
work in your companies. And I think I have a very special guest with me here today who's the perfect expert to talk to about this topic. A very, very warm welcome, Blake Harris from Zoom. He's the president of Zoom's Global Happy Crew. Already since last year, we had the pleasure to talk during the last World Happiness Agora in 2019, together with some other exciting people. And we both felt we have to talk again this year and dive a little bit deeper into that topic, because there's so much interesting stuff going on at Zoom. So very welcome. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Toby. I really appreciate it. I'm based here in Kansas City. As you can tell, I've got a really nice office behind me here. Actually, it's fake. It's actually a green screen. So I can do whatever you guys want to see today, I guess. So.
Oh, that one works pretty well. Thanks a lot.
Of course.
So Zoom is quite a technological company, so that fits very well. And let's dive right into the company you work for, and maybe you can just tell us a little bit how Zoom developed in the course of the last years, and also how all this idea came about to start a happiness initiative, and how that also evolved with the growth of Zoom recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you guys know, Zoom is a video conferencing and collaboration company. We focus on video, audio, and chat, as well as conference room solutions. We have, pretty much any tool from collaboration that a business or an individual would need. So it's a great company. Zoom has been in business for almost 8 years now, and we went public last year in 2019, which was very exciting. It's been very good for all of us here at Zoom. And honestly, Zoom was founded on the culture of delivering happiness, and that's kind of that word almost becomes taboo, but that is our slogan at Zoom, delivering happiness. And most people think when they hear delivering happiness that they're talking about us as employees delivering happiness to our customers. And while there definitely is a huge component of that, a lot of delivering happiness is internal as well. And so we actually, our CEO had come up with this concept based on some inspiration from other major companies out there to create a happy crew, which has been around for a while. And I was not the founder or creator. I was not the first head of the happy crew. I'm a successor of someone else who ran it for a long time and did very well. But I stepped into this team and kind of just embraced the culture of Zoom. And we use the Happy Crew to deliver happiness internally to our employees. So in turn, every day they're excited to deliver happiness externally. So it really is an exciting program. As you said, I'm the president of the Happy Crew. I'm in my second term right now. I was president all of 2019. I'll be serving again in 2020 as a volunteer. And then I also, during the day, am on our HR team here at Zoom. I'm a talent branding specialist. So I oversee Zoom's brand externally to our candidates and people who are interested in coming to work for us. So.
This is pretty exciting, and I'm very, very curious to hear more about how you are structured, basically. So I think that also developed over the course of time. So what are the different topics that you feel belong into your happiness department right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, to make things a little easier, I actually prepared a presentation to share with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick and just walk through you very quickly what the Happy Crew is. So the Happy Crew, this is a presentation we give to all of our new hires just to kind of give you some background. So that's why it says Zoom new hire in the bottom corner, but it correlates well with us here today. So everyone asks, what is the Happy Crew? We just talked about that. The Happy Crew is comprised of over 140 volunteers globally that work at Zoom, that are delivering happiness internally. We think that by delivering happiness internally, that it allows everyone else here at Zoom to deliver happiness externally. And it works. It really does. We focus on 6 different categories. We have events, diversity, community, recognition, creativity, and programs. So each of those categories holds a special place and really has so many different functions within Zoom. So we can dive into a little bit more about it. But I wanted to show you guys quickly kind of how our Happy Crew is structured from a leadership perspective. So, one thing that we realize is that this is something so large and so robust that not one person can run this. So I may be the president of the Happy Crew, but there are tons of other people here that are helping me run run from a global perspective. Each one has their own expertise and helps in their own form or fashion. And these are all volunteers and do this on top of their jobs. And each of these people are spread out across the world. The secretary, Melissa, is in Denver. The treasurer, Jessica, is in the UK. Julie, the events chair, is in Kansas. The programs chair, Alex, is in Santa Barbara, and so on and so forth. People are spread out all over the world, so it's really great. But how we break down is these 6 categories, and this is everyone's favorite slide. It shows truly what we do, right? And I'll highlight a couple of these things, but from an events perspective, it's doing things in the office that create that exciting, out-of-the-ordinary feeling for an employee who walks in. I always like to say, I love getting off the elevator at Zoom because you never know what's going to be there that day. You know, and I would hate to have an office where every single day is the same. You walk in, you clock in, you sit down, you do your work, you go to lunch, you come back, you have that afternoon snooze, and then you go home and you do it all again the next day. That's not how Zoom is. You may get off the elevator on a Wednesday at Zoom and, oh my gosh, you didn't even realize, but it's National Lemon Day. So we've got lemonade and cupcakes and all these things that are lemon themed for you to, you know, just spark joy. Because if we're sparking joy and delivering happiness, it makes you happy, right? So those are the kind of things we do, but we have a lot of large things we do too. Zoom is kind of notorious for 2 major things, and that's bring your kids and bring your parents to work day, and I'll visit those back in just a second. But those are kind of what we're notorious for. From a diversity perspective, Zoom loves to highlight diversity. We have so many amazing employees around the globe that come from so many amazing backgrounds and heritages, and we celebrate those people. We want to learn about them, and we want to educate our other employees about them. So from a diversity perspective, the Happy Crew does basically educational pieces or celebrations around those. So this month, for example, we're doing a Black History Month. So we are focusing on, you know, tech, innovative African Americans in the tech community and what they've meant to the technology space, and how awesome that is for all of our current African American employees to feel included and appreciated, and that they're being recognized, right? We've done Hispanic Heritage. We actually last year brought in traditional people to teach us how to do like traditional Hispanic dancing, like the dances they do during their celebrations for quinceañeras and things like that. And it was so cool to kind of just inundate ourselves in that culture and have all the decorations and the food and just the livelihood of that culture. So our diversity team is super busy and it really does make a big impact. So it's great for a company that has a very widespread, diverse staff like Zoom. From a community perspective, we are huge in the community. We are all over the globe. For those of you guys that don't know, we have offices domestically in Santa Barbara, San Jose, Kansas City, Denver, and Atlanta. But we have offices in the United Kingdom, in Germany, in Amsterdam, in Sydney, Australia, in Tokyo, Japan. So we've got offices all over the world. So we're doing local community service events to make an impact there locally. For example, unfortunately, because of all the wildfires in Australia, Zoom has been really a huge advocate down there, making sure that the community knows that Zoom is there to support them. We've been sending supplies and donations, and the Happy Crew's been very instrumental in supporting them. Same thing in Santa Barbara last year when all the wildfires were going on there. We also do a new hire community event, every single new hire training. So at the end of the training class, all the new hires get together and they either pack lunches for the homeless or maybe school supply kits for underprivileged children. A lot of different things that we can do to get back every single month at our new hire class. What a way to kick off employment with Zoom than by giving back to your community and showing how much we care about them. So those are just little things we do. Recognition, I mean, every company should be recognizing their employees. We do birthday, anniversary recognition, Zoomie of the week, Zoomie of the quarter. Those are huge programs. But my favorite program on the recognition committee is our Snappy program. And I have a feeling you're going to want to dive deeper into this, so I won't go too deep right now. But yes. Snappy is a program that allows our employees to give gifts peer-to-peer simply for feeling that their peer went above and beyond. And it has become one of the most trending programs within Zoom. And I'll just leave it at that. And if you want to dive deeper, we can later. So programs from a perspective of the Happy Crew, we have sports teams all over the world. We do Fun Friday themes. It's like Spirit Week every Friday at Zoom, Crazy Hair Day, Rock Band Day, favorite music day, anything you can think of. We're doing it on a Friday here in the Zoom offices. And then lastly is our Compass program there at the top of the programs list. And that is kind of our mentor-mentee program. As a new hire, we pair you up with a more experienced Zoomie. We call them a captain, and you are a cadet. And you basically get paired up, and you get to you get to basically go to coffee or grab lunch and just get to know someone here at Zoom that you can rely on, ask questions kind of off the record, so you don't have to always ask everything to your manager or everything to, you don't know who to turn to. You can turn to your captain on the Compass program, and they can help you out. So kind of like the Boy Scout program, you get paired with a leader that can help you out. That's kind of what the Compass program is, and it's very successful. Most of our new hires that join Zoom elect to enroll themselves into the Compass program because it really is a great program. So that's a little bit about what we do on a regular basis. I wanted to show a couple pictures. This is last year's Bring Your Kids to Work Day in Denver. We always go big. We do lots of fun activities for the kids in the office, and then can't forget our parents. Bring your parents to work day. I was telling Toby, last time we spoke, that one of the coolest things about Bring Your Parents to Work Day is you have to have a solid company if you want to bring parents in to show them what your kids are doing all day, every day, because you've got to impress mom. Like, if mom isn't happy that her baby is at a place that isn't good, then we're going to get it, right? But Eric, our CEO, absolutely loves Zoom parents, and he actually does a full 1 hour private Q&A with our parents every Bring Your Parents to Work Day, where they get one-on-one time with Eric, one of the hottest CEOs in the world right now, and they can ask any question they want. No strings attached. He answers everything. Man, it's so fun to watch, and we do it every year. And Bring Your Parents to Work Day is something I've never seen done till I came to Zoom, and I've been through 3 of them now, and I tell you what, they're like nothing you've ever seen. It's so exciting. So I really, really love what Zoom's doing from a cultural perspective, and I'm excited to keep going with it for sure. So
this is so interesting. Thanks for this. Well, I wouldn't call it an introduction. It was already diving right into it, and that's exactly what I want to do today, because this is so practical. Concrete events, concrete programs that you can launch. I really love the Bring Your Parents to Work Day. I've seen Bring Your Kids to Work, but haven't seen Bring Your Parents. And then right. I feel like this requires even an additional level of trust. And one thing I realized going through all these different initiatives and programs and events, a lot of them have to do with bringing people together, with building community. It's all improving people's relationships at work, bringing the family, increasing trust. So I feel like relationships are really probably at the core of making people happy at work. Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree. I mean, look at Zoom as a product, and the purpose of Zoom when it was created by Eric, our CEO, was to bring people together, to allow collaboration internationally. Last time we spoke, weren't you in Berlin? You were in Berlin. I was here in America, in Kansas, in the middle of America. We were having a conversation like we were sitting across the table having a cup of coffee from each other, just like we're doing now, and you're nowhere near me. So Zoom truly is all about bringing people together, and the Happy Crew just embodies that from a cultural or a community perspective, and that's what's exciting. But having a program like that makes an impact is truly unique, I think. And I'm surprised more companies don't do it. I think people are afraid to do it. Maybe they think it might cost too much, or they think it might be too hard, or might distract people from their jobs. That's a big one.
That's a big
but
one.
what's more important to you? Is it more important to you to have a good company culture, or would you rather have to keep replacing people because they leave to go to the next company because your company's not fun, or they don't feel appreciated or recognized? So I guess that's something you have to weigh.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree, and a lot of companies have these doubts. Which doubts would you say are not accurate, and from your practical experience are just false doubts, and which ones are actually something that you have to consider when you build up such a department? Like which obstacles can actually occur? Yeah,
I think the number one doubt that people think they will have, or the issue they think they will have, would be financially. How do I sustain a program like the Happy Crew? Well, I mean, if you want me to be completely transparent, the Happy Crew has a $300 per head cost per year. That's all. We're spending $300 per employee per year on the Happy Crew. We do a good job about getting group discounts at things we do or whatever, but it really is not a huge investment. It would cost us significantly more, probably 10 times the amount to replace that employee if they left the company because they weren't happy, than to spend the $300 just to deliver happiness by giving them some cupcakes or, inviting their parents into the office. A lot of the stuff we do doesn't cost a lot of money. It just takes some heart. It just takes a little excitement and a little appreciation for your peers and wanting to do it. So I think that's the biggest misconception, is that it would cost a lot. From a perspective of some concerns or some hiccups that people may experience along the way, you truly have to have people that want to serve the company. That's a big factor in a successful culture team within your company, is people who want to do it. If you don't have people who care about the company or who want to deliver happiness to their peers or serve their peers, then unfortunately, one, you don't have the right people in the seats in your company, because if they don't care about your company, then why did you hire them, And two, if they don't want to deliver happiness to their peers, then the program is never going to get off the ground, because we are a complete volunteer organization. Everything that happens is by people who want to do it, and we're not being paid to do it. And it's because we love Zoom, we care about Zoom, and I care about the people that I sit next to every day, and I want them to be happy here. And I know, as an investor in Zoom, as a stockholder, as an employee, that because my peers are happy, their performance is better, which helps the company, which helps me as a stockholder, So I have a vested interest in Zoom's success, and even if you're not a public company, as a private company, there can still be a vested interest as well, but that's just my situation. So.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree, but it's still very fascinating that people invest that time, and what do you think it takes? I mean, how come that people are motivated apparently to invest part of their time into that initiatives? I think from the numbers you told me last time, it's like more than 5%, or was it even 10% of the people working at Zoom are in some way engaged and not only experience the benefits, but also are engaged and give away part of their time and creativity for the initiative.
Yeah, it's pretty close to 10%. I think Zoom is a little over 1,500 employees, little more than that now, but we have about 150, 160 people on the Happy Crew globally. So yeah, that's about 10%, which is I've never really put that correlation together, but that's great. Why do we do it? I think it's just what you do. Our CEO has led from the front. He is a leader. You've seen those pictures online where a leader is always out in front, the wolf in the front of the pack running first. That is Eric. He's out in front. He's forging the trail, and we're simply following behind and trying to keep up with him because he's so awesome. If you have a leader that is as motivated and as excited as someone like Eric Yuan, then it's not hard to be excited to follow him. So if you're having trouble getting people in your company motivated, maybe it's time to check your leadership team first and have that leadership team get motivated and set the example of what it looks like to serve the company and to be excited and to deliver happiness, and people will follow. People follow happy people. I totally agree. And I think if you want to form or change a culture, leadership always plays a key role as role models. And the other thing you already mentioned earlier is, as a recruiter, of course, you know that you also have to hire the right people who are open to these things. Correct. Who are already bringing some happiness or some proactive initiative with them, and otherwise they won't even fit into the culture that you have created, right? Correct. Yeah, we are always hiring individuals who, I don't like the term culture fit at Zoom. That's kind of closed-minded in my opinion. So I like the term culture ADD, because I'm adding to my culture. I'm not trying to find someone to fit into this mold that Zoom thinks our culture is. I'm looking to find someone that can add to it, that can bring something new to the table, that can spice it up. So when I was recruiting, and I was a recruiter at Zoom for the first 2 years I was here, and when I was recruiting, I was always looking for someone who was new and exciting. So I would always ask that question when I was recruiting: what do you bring to the table culturally that sets you apart from everyone else? What interests do you have? What passions do you have? What skills or silly techniques do you know that would bring something to Zoom? And it was cool to see what people would come up with. And I can tell you, a lot of the people that I hired over those 2 years are a part of the Happy Crew today. Not because I made them do it, but because they fell in love with it and wanted to do it because they were the right fit.
Awesome. I think that's so important. And that's quite something to think about, especially for recruiters, for managers, and also for people who are joining a company, right? Employees who look for a new job, who want to work at a company that has a great culture. They can look for questions like this in the recruiting process to see if it is appreciated that people bring in their own ideas and create something. And if you have always these new people coming in with new ideas, you create exactly what you mentioned earlier with new events and new ideas coming in, this kind of surprises that employees love, right? It's like going to the supermarket, and if you see a new product and you're excited about it, you don't always want to see the same thing. Yeah, or free samples, or just to have, I mean, positive surprises are just also key to happiness. It's this, what some more advanced HR departments call employee experience design, really looking at all the HR processes and the whole work process and making sure that emotions from positive surprises to joy to interest just spike along the way as much as possible. And I feel like you do a great job there. So
yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, you have to dive into the root cause of why you're doing things like that. Why are we doing things that bring a surprise or excitement to employees? Are you doing it because you have to? Or are you doing it because you want to? You know, and at Zoom, we want to. We want to make our peers happy. We want to deliver happiness. So, you know, again, if that's something that you truly want to be doing, there's nothing stopping you. You can't use the excuse of money, because you could go do something special by, I know this sounds corny, but bear with me. You could do something special by simply writing a thank you note to your employees by hand. When's the last time you have ever received a written thank you note for something you've done? It doesn't happen very often anymore. So if you want to deliver happiness to someone who maybe you appreciate, but you don't know how, you don't necessarily have a bunch of money to go buy them a bunch of gifts or reward them in that way, write them a simple handwritten thank you note. Recognize them in front of their peers. You know, at the next all hands or at the next, you know, team meeting, recognize them. They're going to feel so much joy. The next day, they're going to come in and work a little harder because of that. And you keep doing little things like that, it'll compound. It's compound effect. So
yeah, very interesting. So if you don't mind, you mentioned a couple of very interesting initiatives and practical things you do. You already mentioned the Bring Your Parents to Work Day. You mentioned a couple of others. So why don't we go back to your favorite top 1, 2, or 3, whatever comes to your mind, and look a little bit closer so that people get additional examples of what they could think about and do.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, Zoom is, you know, most commonly known, I think, for our Bring Your Parents to Work Day and Bring Your Kids to Work Day. So from a Bring Your Kids to Work Day perspective, I'll say this. I love the fact that we have the ability to bring children into our offices and provide them entertainment throughout the day. And we're not, people think with Bring Your Kids to Work Day that you throw a folding chair next to your desk and have your kid just sit there and play on their Game Boy while you're working all day. And that's not what Bring Your Kids to Work Day at Zoom is. We're having these kids go into groups and travel around the office and do scavenger hunts, or we create we had our software engineers develop a bug for our Zoom Room technology. And the kids had to go in there and find the bugs in the technology. So we're inundating them in our product too. We're providing them lunch. We're bringing in inflatables. We're doing whatever we can to entertain those. We have craft stations. Last year, we even went out and bought a ton of books for children all the way up to teenagers. And we had like a book corner, like a reading nook during our Bring Your Kids to Work Day. But at the end of the day, we let the kids take the books home that they were reading. You know, so we delivered happiness to them by giving them something that they could take away. You know, we have a photo booth so they can get pictures with their parents or their friends that are there, or their siblings. So we do a lot of stuff like that to entertain the kids throughout the year, or throughout the day. And that really makes it special for them. And I tell you what, every single parent at Zoom will tell you their kid asks them all year long, when is Bring Your Kids to Work Day? I can't wait to come back. Do you get your face painted at work every day? I can't wait to get my face painted at work next time. That's just the impression these kids have, and how much joy that brings. You know, when their mom has to say, oh, I've got to go to work today, at least the kid knows they're going to an amazing company, right? It makes them feel good, and they're excited for their parent, and they're excited to come back with them again. So we love Bring Your Kids to Work Day. It truly is one of the most special days that we have, and I love it so much. So that's probably my favorite there. The other option, though, is probably our Bring Your Parents to Work Day, which I know a lot of people are kind of like, how would you even execute an event like Bring Your Parents to Work Day? And that's always a question I get. So I actually pulled an example here of an agenda from last year's Bring Your Parents to Work Day, and I want to share this with you guys real quick. It's not very, you know, every company is unique, so you have to understand that. But this was last year's Bring Your Parents to Work Day agenda. We did a check-in, we had a group photo in front of the building, and then we did a meet and greet with the leadership leadership in this is Kansas City's office, by the way. Each office has their own unique one. We did a meet and greet with the KC leadership. Then we had 3 different groups. We split them up into groups. And we had 3 different activities. We had an escape room. We created an escape room out of one of our conference rooms, which was fairly easy to do. If you Google online how to create an escape room, you can figure it out. We did a scavenger hunt in our office. All around the office, we created a scavenger hunt. Again, just a little brain power. Note, both of those things didn't cost us anything to do. 3, we had the meet and greet with the leadership. So they split up between groups and went and did all those things. And then at the end of the day, we did, and note the end of the day, it's from 9 a.m. until 11:30 is when the Q&A starts. So it's only 2.5 hours that they're meandering around. And then, they did their Q&A with Eric, which is the big one. For an hour, every single office from around the globe hopped on a Zoom meeting at the exact same time with Eric and a lot of our other executives too. Our CFO, Kelly, was on there. Our CMO, Janine, was on there. So a lot of people were on there answering and speaking to these parents and answering their questions. And then we ended it with an amazing lunch with the Zoomie and their parents, and then we had an ice cream truck outside that they could go out and do that. So, and then at the bottom, we obviously had a few things going on all day they could participate in. We had a Zoom photo booth in the front lobby where they could get pictures. We were giving chair massages. We brought in a massage company that did chair massages, which, by the way, they did it for free because they hoped to get clients out of it. Ooh. So we said, hey, do you want to come in and do this for us? And maybe you'll get some clients. And they said yes. Just a hint. We have a game room at Zoom, so they did ping pong, shuffleboard, and basketball. And then we had a Zoom room. We use our product. We had a Zoom room set up all day where you could walk in it, and all the other locations having Bring Your Parents to Work Day had a room too. So you could walk in and wave at parents from Tokyo or wave at parents from California or whatever here in Kansas, which was super cool. So everyone loved that. It was a really exciting day. So those are probably my 2 favorite activities that we do at Zoom, and I'm really passionate about both those for sure.
These are so interesting, and thanks for going into so much detail because that makes it very tangible.
Yes.
You also mentioned one before, and you offered to dive a little bit deeper into that one, the Snappy one, the recognition system. What about that one?
Yeah, so Snappy is new for Zoom this year, and actually it's, oh my gosh, I can't even speak to how amazing it has been for our culture. So Snappy is actually a company. If you can go look them up online, SNAPPY, snappy.com. So Snappy is a gift curating service. So what they do is they have a software, and they basically allow you access to that software, and you can go in and send gifts to people, and they basically receive an email that says, Zoom has sent you a gift, and you scratch off this little ticket. It's kind of cute. And then it pulls up like this album with however many items, 50 or 100 different items in it. And it could be anything from, it depends on the price range you set. So let me say that. You can set a range from, like, our standard Snappy gift album is $0 to $25, but you can go all the way up to $5,000 if you want. And when that Zoomie opens it, there's all these gifts that range from $0 to $25. But the best part about it is the Zoomie doesn't know how much those gifts are worth. I mean, unless they know the product in the market, but they may see a Yeti mug, or they may see a set of headphones, be like, oh my gosh, I need that. They're not thinking $25. They're thinking, wow, I'm getting this free Yeti mug. I've always wanted a Yeti mug and I've never bought one. And they can click it and it ships free to their doorstep in 2 business days or something like that. Snappy is basically a software that allows us to send gifts to employees without attaching a nominal value to that employee's appreciation. So I can say, thank you, Toby, for everything you've done, for being such an awesome peer, for helping me out when I was out on leave or whatever. Here's a gift for you. But I'm not attaching, you're only worth $25 to me. I'm attaching, I appreciate you, and that's it, right? And Snappy, we decided we loved it so much that we decided to roll it out globally to our company. So all of our offices use it. We actually allow our employees to go in and submit requests in our ticketing system. We use Freshservice at Zoom to submit a ticket to the Happy Crew to send a gift to a peer. All they have to do is provide a valid business reason of how that person went above and beyond. So it can't be, I want to send a gift to Toby because he looked really cool today. It has to be, I want to send a gift to Toby because he did so good on the presentation with XYZ company this week, and he earned us that business, or he covered me while I was out, or whatever. Any business reason, we're not critical of it, and we send that gift to that person on behalf of the other Zoomie. So now you've got this culture of people caring about each other and sending each other gifts. And yes, I know what everyone's thinking. Who's paying for this? The Happy Crew's picking up the tab. Okay, we are. And it's costing us quite a bit of money. But you know what? It still falls within our $300 per head per year because we budgeted well. And at the end of the day, even if 1 or 2 people receive a $25 gift a year, let's say $25 or $50 per person per year, to make them feel like their peers care about them and appreciate them. And every time they pick up that Yeti mug on their desk, they think Zoom gave this to me, or so-and-so from the CSM team gave this to me. It's so awesome. It's a tangible takeaway. And it makes it more special than just saying, here's a Starbucks gift card, or here's an Amazon gift card, or whatever. It has more appreciation. And so Snappy has been instrumental in Zoom's success over the last year. We implemented Snappy in June of 2019, and in 6 months, we had full company participation. Mm-hmm. We have delivered to date over almost 1,200 gifts internally. It's been 8 months now. 1,200 gifts internally. That's a lot of gifts that we've sent out, and I can't speak enough. And the company is amazing. Hani, the CEO of Snappy, is an unbelievable person. We have such a great relationship. They've been so instrumental in adding features and stuff that Zoom needed to make it successful for us. Mm-hmm. I feel like I should probably be a spokesperson for their marketing team because I love their company. I am not being paid for this advertising, I can assure you. I truly just love their product. And I will tell you this, they are a Zoom customer too. So because they are a Zoom customer, we had no problem being a customer of theirs. That's a huge factor too. So sometimes you can work out deals like that. But we love them so much.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And thanks for just explaining it so well. And there's probably different companies who offer services, some do it more with kudo points and some with product, but that idea sounds like very innovative to me.
Yeah, we did actually, we interviewed 5 or 6 different gift curating companies that offer a lot of different things, and there were some great ones out there. Snappy is not the be all end all, but it's what worked for us. It was perfect for our culture. It was perfect for our budget. It was what we chose to go with. So I love them, but there are other awesome ones out there too. So let me say that too. I don't want to be so difficult.
That's so interesting. One thing I wonder is, who comes up with all these ideas, and do you have some kind of system for that? Because I tried something out in the last company I worked for, a huge tier 1 consultancy. And you might think like, okay, consultancies and happiness, it's more difficult. But to me, it feels like there's employees in every company who are very creative and put in ideas. We created a wall of happiness where you could stick your ideas. Or in the current company at HealthFresh Go, we have like a feedback box, and we'll advance also the things we do here. But I wonder how the process works at Zoom.
Yeah, great question. So from a Happy Crew perspective, we have a couple different avenues. One, people are able to just join the Happy Crew and participate in our meetings. We're a completely open organization. We're an inclusive team. Anyone can come anytime they want and help. But from a company perspective, we have a couple ways as well. So Zoom has an all hands bi-weekly where you can submit anonymous questions, and the CEOs or the head of whatever department you're speaking to will answer those live in front of the entire company. That's super successful for us, and it's all anonymous, so people are very candid in those. We've had specific questions around the Happy Crew. How come the Happy Crew does this but doesn't do this, or whatever? And sometimes it's challenged us, and people are always wanting us to be better than we are. And you know what? I appreciate that, because I don't ever want to become complacent in the Happy Crew. I always want to be fresh and innovative and bringing new things to the team, because bring your parents to work day and bring your kids to work day are fun, but if you do the same thing 10 years in a row, it's going to get a little old. Right? So we've got to become fresh and new. So we do allow all hands from a global perspective, or we also have a simple Google form on our, we have an intranet at Zoom where people can find out information about different departments, like an internal internet system. And one of the pages is on the Happy Crew, giving them details. And there's a submission box there as well where people can submit ideas. But most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, it comes from a simple chat. Someone saying, hey, I'm really passionate about XYZ. Have you guys ever thought about doing it or supporting it? Or, if it's a community service event, have you ever guys thought about participating in that? Most of the time it's I haven't. Tell me more. Why are you interested? And then we see if we can make it happen. The team, we have the leadership team. We get together every other week and we brainstorm and collaborate, and we see if it's something we're interested in. And sometimes it's a yes and sometimes it's a no, but we always evaluate everything that comes our way.
That's pretty good. So this is how the ideas come in, and then some of the initiatives will be launched. Do you have a way to measure happiness, or what are the effects that you've observed?
That's a tough question. How do you measure happiness?
It's pretty tough.
I think every company would love to measure their happiness level. I think there's two main components from an HR perspective that you can measure happiness with. And some people may or may not agree with this, but one, I think you can measure happiness by your attrition level. Are you losing a lot of people, both voluntarily and involuntarily? Because if someone is involuntarily being let go of your company, it's probably because they weren't performing, because they didn't feel any sort of a vested interest in performing. Okay? Most of the time. But then voluntarily, why are they leaving? Most people, I've read tons of articles and statistics that say most people don't leave their company because of pay. Some do, but most people leave their company because they're not happy with their manager or their culture or the environment that they're working in. They feel it's toxic. So that's one way you can measure your happiness level, is by your attrition. But the other way I think you can measure your happiness is by truly looking at how successful your employees are. Are they happy in life? Are they happy in their jobs? And the way that you measure that is by doing an employee engagement survey. And at Zoom, we do an employee engagement survey once a year, where we allow completely anonymous surveys from all of our employees from every level, executive down to our day porters, our cleaning crew, every single person in between. And those individuals basically fill out a completely anonymous survey about everything from day in the life of their job, their managers, the executive team, their office, the company as a whole. Literally, we ask hundreds of questions in the survey. It takes a pretty good amount of time to fill out. But then that survey compiles up, and as a leadership team, we can see all across the board what everybody thinks. And that's really special. In our particular survey, we can break it down by sales, marketing, HR, engineering. So we can see certain departments and how happy they are in their departments and stuff as well. And that's a pretty tried and true method. But I have seen a lot of companies that would be very scared to send out an employee engagement survey. And maybe that's something to note right now. If you're scared to send one out, that's probably something that that's probably a reason to send one out. If you truly want to fix it, and you're scared to send it out anyway, and find out what you need to fix, and then start fixing it. That's what Zoom did, because we haven't always been perfect. We won't always be perfect. We make mistakes. Zoom is not this golden halo of a company that has never made a mistake. But you know what? We try, and everyone in here cares, and that's all that matters every day. So
that's a very important point, and let me get back to that, because you mentioned it. It's always about celebrating the successes, but also sometimes celebrating the mistakes. And I'm sure where you are right now wouldn't have happened without also making some mistakes. So, do you recall anything that, with the knowledge today, you would have done differently? But it's still good that it happened because you learned from it. But some mistakes that others can avoid, maybe. It's a tough one.
Goodness. That is a tough one. Yeah. That is a tough one. I mean, this one is super sensitive, and I'll say it anyway because I think it's important to know. But because of Zoom's focus on diversity, there has been times where we have ruffled feathers with our diversity messaging. So, for example, I remember there was an individual on the Happy Crew who had great intentions, but they sent out an email to the office advertising a particular diversity event we were doing, and that for lunch that day, the food was going to be X, Y, and Z, which was super stereotypical to that culture, and it came across and it rubbed individuals of that culture the wrong way. The messaging was not delivered correctly. That peer felt really bad. It actually brought that person to tears when they realized what they'd done. But they had good intentions. But because they weren't from that background, it was an innocent mistake. But we as a Happy Crew learned from our mistakes. And so now we have a process where when someone's going to be sending out an email about anything, it goes through basically an approval process before it gets sent out, just to prevent it puts multiple sets of eyes on that, so that way it can be viewed from all different sets of perspectives and help prevent issues. Because we really offended some people that day, and it wasn't intentional, and it was a complete mistake. And at the end of the day, everyone understood, but it was a very stressful time for that individual that was just trying to deliver happiness that was not necessary. And that was a very instrumental day in our Happy Crew. That happened a couple of years ago, and it was not fun, but we learned from it, and we've become better because of it. And guess what? We came in the next day, we delivered happiness again, and all was fine. All moved on. Yeah. We learned from our mistakes. So
that's an interesting example, being very sensitive and, well, still trying it out and then learning from it.
Yeah.
So, well, thinking about the future with all that you learned, is there anything you have on your mind that you want to put into practice in the future that would be your dream about, advancing that whole happiness movement?
That's a great question. So, two sides to that. One, from an internal perspective at Zoom, we actually are this year gearing up to launch a second Happy Crew within Zoom. So today, I'm the president of the Global Happy Crew, meaning I'm overseeing all the Happy Crew across the world. The reality is Zoom is growing so fast, and we have so many offices overseas that it's becoming nearly impossible based on time zones, time commitments, because remember, I'm volunteer. This is not my job. I have a job as well. I have expectations in my real job too. It's becoming nearly impossible to handle. So we're actually considering and planning to launch a second Happy Crew for our EMEA, our international team, where they'll have their complete own Happy Crew, their own budget, their own committee. So president, what we call at Zoom, we stick with the nautical theme. So yes, it's the president, but we actually go by captain, co-captain, treasurer, first mate. We go by the nautical theme because we're the Happy Crew, right? Yes. So we're going to launch another crew overseas that can manage them, those teams locally. So that way they have a little bit more empowerment there locally and a little bit more power than they do having to run everything back through us here domestically, which can get tricky sometimes. So that's an internal perspective. Something I'm really looking forward to is kind of splitting off and double conquering, if you will, But from an external perspective, I'm really excited for the Happy Crew concept to start spreading to other companies. Zoom is not my first company I've worked for. I've worked for several other major companies. I worked for a company, not the one right before, but the one before that was a major company. If I said the name, everyone would know it. They had nothing like this. And honestly, their culture sucked. I'm not trying to be mean, but if anyone who works there is watching this, they'll agree with me, knowing that I was there. And if they would have just implemented some of these things, it would have made such a big difference, because the company itself is great. They have great ideas and a great product, and what they're doing is amazing. But they just are so budget and bottom line focused that the thought of ever investing in their employees is just not even something that would cross their mind. And so I left that company. I left that company voluntarily because I wasn't happy. And honestly, I took less pay at my next job because I wasn't happy. But you know what? That led me to Zoom through the long run. So everything happens for a reason, and I'm appreciative of that. But I think long term, I want more companies to focus on creating some sort of a team, of a program. Let's not even call it a team. Let's call it a program to show their people how much they care, and it can't just be a Christmas party where everyone comes and drinks one time a year. That's not a way to deliver happiness. That is a one-time way to check a box on your yearly appreciation chart, and that's not a way to do it, because there's people at your company that is not what they want. Some people are there's different types of love languages. Some people are words of affirmation. Some people want gifts. Some people want quality time. Some people want physical touch, like a hug, and the Happy Crew, we can deliver all those things. I can give someone a pat on the back or a hug in the hallway. I can send them a gift through Snappy. I can tell them I appreciate them through words of affirmation at all hands by giving them a shout out. There's so many things that we can do, and you have to have something in place to appreciate your people, or ultimately they will move on, and they're going to come to a company like Zoom where they feel appreciated. I can assure you. Yeah, absolutely, and I totally agree. And well, I hope, of course, that both of us, with these type of conversations and this conference, will spread the word even further, right? And that things happen. And maybe for the last question, I would like to ask you for a recommendation, because
I have the feeling that it's particularly easy, or at least easier, in a company like Zoom, with a vision and a mission that is already about bringing people together, spreading happiness, right? And the same here, now that I'm working for HelloFresh Go, I'm trying to bring this smart fridges where you can get fresh, healthy food into the offices. So there's also making employees happy already in the product, which opens up people's minds a little bit faster to also creating a happy atmosphere, a happy culture in the company. So if you think about different companies that don't have that positive product or service, what can they still do, individually? What would you recommend? What are the steps, or what is something that comes to your mind to actually get an initiative starting around happiness?
Yeah, where do you start? Well, I think number one, it starts from the top down. I think if you're an employee at one of those companies and you're like, man, I wish we had something like this, it's time to go sit down with some leaders at your company and talk about this. Have a candid conversation. Let them know that you participated in the World Happiness Fest and that you saw some amazing ideas that you want to try. Ask them if they're willing to invest in something like that. If the answer is no, that's okay. Maybe they don't have the money to invest, but they're willing to let you try on things you can do that don't cost anything, and start with those handwritten notes. Maybe you create a program within your company that says each person, once a week you write a note to someone in your company. Start small, be creative, and it doesn't have to start with the CEO. It can start with a regular old individual contributor who just cares. And trust me, like we said earlier, compassion is contagious, right? If you care, other people will care as well. So I think the biggest thing is you just have to try, you just have to do, and eventually it will catch on.
That's a great last word, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will pick up on that and will use these ideas, whether the last one or all the things you told us before, because it's so practical. I will personally also start using some of the ideas that we talked about today. So I think it's very impactful. And I just have to thank you so much for being part of this and sharing your insights. And maybe we'll meet again next year, right? On the next
Hopefully. Hopefully, I appreciate it. I'm so thankful to be a part of this again for a second year in a row, and I can't wait to see what the World Happiness Fest does this year. I know how big of an impact you guys had last year globally, and I can't wait to see it again this year. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and we're excited to partner with you guys again.
Thank you so much, and talk soon, and have a happy day.
Thanks, Toby.
Todos queremos tener una vida que valga la pena, pero en medio de la vorágine diaria, perdidos en redes sociales y guiados por la presión de tener éxito, muchas veces nos olvidamos de quiénes somos y sobre todo de quiénes queremos ser. La riqueza de nuestra vida se construye a partir de nuestros recursos internos. Aprende herramientas científicas basadas en la psicología positiva con líderes reconocidos y transforma tu vida, la de tu escuela, organización y por supuesto la de tu familia con nuestros programas. Te esperamos.